Hello everyone, welcome to JAIIB CIB Prep. In today's video, we'll discuss about unit number 19, Grievance Redressal and RBI Integrated Ombudsman Scheme 2021. So in this particular unit, we'll learn about the grievance redressal mechanism of the banks, the internal machinery to handle the grievances, and then we will learn about RBI Integrated Ombudsman Scheme 2021. We'll also understand when does the RBI introduce the banking ombudsman, who can file a complaint, what are the grounds, on what grounds complaint can be rejected, what if a person is not satisfied with the decision of an ombudsman, so what are his rights, who is the appellate authority. We'll then do some practice questions and wind up this class. So every business, including bank, receives complaints from customers, and a complaint is when a customer feels something went wrong, like poor service, unfair charges, delays, or issue in transaction. And if the bank ignores the complaint, it may lead to a bigger problem. It may damage the bank's reputation and goodwill in the market. That's why every bank has a system to handle complaints called grievance redressal policy. Also, RBI made it mandatory for banks to have a proper complaint handling system. In 1995, RBI introduced banking ombudsman scheme. So this gave customers an alternate way to complain in the bank if the bank didn't help. In 2019, RBI started an online complaint management system that works 24 into 7. And in 2021, a new and stronger framework was introduced to further improve the process. And in 2021 as well, the integrated ombudsman scheme was introduced. So we'll discuss about it later in this video. Model policy on grievance redressal. So the bank's complaint policy is based on simple principles. Number one is fairness. All customers should be treated equally and respectfully. There should be a timely response. That is, the complaints should be resolved quickly. Transparency should be maintained. Customers should know how to complain, whom to contact, what to do if they are not satisfied. And every complaint should be handled in a professional manner, in an efficient manner. Staff must act honestly and in the customer's best interest. So, good faith, good intention must be there. Also, banks have a complaint system working at every level, be it branch level, regional, office, zonal, and head office. And all bank staff should be trained to handle complaints properly. Internal complaint handling system. So, customers may sometimes feel unhappy with the bank service. And if handled properly, these complaints can actually build trust and loyalty. So, good complaint handling is equivalent to happy customers, which in turn makes bank reputation better. But if the handling mechanism is poor, the customer will left frustrated, and there might be some legal troubles as well for the bank. So banks must have a strong internal system to resolve issues professionally and politely. So number one is customer awareness and facilitation. So bank must help customers by giving full information like where to complain, how to complain, what are the forms, website, in person, and when will they get a reply, and what to do if they are not satisfied. So this information must be clearly displayed at bank branches. It should be printed in welcome kits, and uh, banks have to make sure that this information is also available on the website. For this, bank provides certain facilities like complaint or suggestion box for written feedbacks, suggestions at each branch. Then there are complaint register books, a register where customers can write complaints. One copy goes to the branch and another goes to the higher office. Then we have online complaint system for fast tracking and record keeping. Website complaint forms are available. Every bank website should have a form to file complaints. There should be contact information available of the nodal officer, senior staff in charge, and every bank website should mention that the right of a customer to go to RBI ombudsman is there if a complaint remains unresolved within 1 month. Complaint redressal mechanism. So, the first step, the first point of contact is frontline staff. The first person the customer meets, like the cashier or the clerk, should try to resolve the complaint directly. If staff cannot resolve it, the bank branch manager gets involved, and they must investigate the issue, contact the customer is needed, and send a written reply to the customer. The details of the complaints are then sent to the regional or zonal office. If the issue remains unresolved, it goes to the regional or zonal office. They try to settle it within 7 days, and if it is still not resolved, the complaint reaches head office. Now, the head office reviews all details, take a final decision, inform the customer, and instruct branches if any improvement is required. And if the customer still feels unhappy, they can complain to the banking ombudsman within 1 year of receiving the bank's reply. The letter sent to the customer must include the ombudsman contact details and the statement about the customer's right to escalate. So, if a complaint is not resolved within 1 month, the branch must send a copy to the nodal officer who handles ombudsman matter. This helps if RBI seeks update later. Online dispute resolution system. The Reserve Bank of India wants a tech-based, fair, transparent system to solve customer complaints, especially related to failed digital payments. And that's why in August 2020, RBI told all authorized payment companies like banks and wallet providers to set up an online dispute resolution system. Purpose is to help the customers quickly raise and resolve disputes related to failed transactions like UPI failures or unsuccessful card payments. And this system can be accessed by customers and payment system participants. Later, the ODR system will be used for all types of dispute and not just for the failed transactions. And if the complaint is not solved in 1 month, the customer can approach the RBI ombudsman under the ombudsman scheme. Uh, a customer can raise complaint in multiple ways. Now they can raise a complaint via website, mobile app, phone calls, IVR, call centers, via SMS, by visiting the branches or offices, and even apps like Phone Pay, Google Pay must allow filing dispute directly in apps. Now there are some extra features of ODR. It should auto fetch transactions uh, from the source shared by the customer. Now that is the data should be fetched and data privacy should be maintained. Customer should be able to track complaint status, like we can track courier parcels. So in a similar way, the customer should be able to track their complaint status. Handling unauthorized electronic transactions. So sometimes fraud happens through digital banking, like money deducted without your permission. In this case, what should bank do? So when sending SMS or email alert for any transaction, bank should allow the customers to reply directly to report fraud. Bank must give a direct link on their homepage to report such issue, and once reported, the customer should get an instant acknowledgement and reference number. The bank's system should record time and date of the complaint, which is important for deciding the customer's liability. And this complaint must be resolved within 90 days. And if it is not resolved, the customer must be compensated as per RBI rules. So, for example, for savings and current account, so there should be no loss of interest. And for loans and credit cards, there should be no extra interest charged to the customers. Credit related complaints. So bank must have proper internal redressal system to solve loan related complaints. Dispute should be reviewed by a senior level authority, at least one level higher. Uh, and the banks must regularly review how well they follow the fair practice code and uh, how well their complaint system actually works. Strengthening of grievance redressal mechanism in banks. So RBI launched a full framework to make the complaint handling system in banks more effective and customer friendly. Bank must report detailed complaints data to their board. They must analyze uh, all the common complaint areas, what are the frequent sources of issue, is there any systematic problem, and complaints should be published in the annual report and on the bank's website, except those which are resolved within one working day. Apart from them, all the complaints should be posted, published in the annual reports. Now, some of the examples of uh, areas where bank must report complaints on, banks must gets complaint. So it is ATM debit cards, credit cards, internet mobile banking, account opening, operation, loan issue, excess charges, staff behavior, then check issues, senior citizen facilities, and RBI will recover the cost of redress from banks that get more complaint than the average in their peer group, and peer group average is calculated using complaints per branch, complaints per 1000 accounts, and digital complaints per 1000 digital transaction. Then there is an intensive RBI review. Uh, RBI will regularly monitor banks' complaints handling performance. Banks with recurring issues will undergo detailed inspections, and the goal is to find and fix system level problems to improve customer experience. Principal Nodal Officer. All banks must appoint a Principal Nodal Officer under RBI Ombudsman Scheme. This officer should be at least of the rank of a Journal Manager. So, that if a customer faces a serious issue, they know that their complaint is being heard at a high level. The name and address of this officer must be shared with RBI, and the contact details must also be clearly displayed on the bank's website or the app. Review mechanism in public sector banks. So RBI told public sector banks to regularly review their complaint handling system. Some of the important points are to continuously check if the system is working effectively. If some branches have too many complaints, then they should create special teams to handle them, to consider transferring the branch manager or staff to another department. In large branches or branches with many complaints, banks should appoint a public relation officers or license officer to talk to the customer. Customer service and communication skills should be included in staff training. If a complaint is not upheld, the bank must give a complete explanation to the customer. Chief Customer Service Officer. So, to further improve customer service, RBI asked certain banks in 2015 actually to appoint an internal ombudsman known as Chief Customer Service Officer. Now, this officer must not be an employee of the same bank. Their role is to check those complaints which the bank has rejected or not fully resolved, and before telling the customer the complaint is closed, the bank must show the matter to the CCSO, the Chief Customer Service Officer. And from 2018, all scheduled commercial banks with more than 10 branches except RRBs must appoint an internal ombudsman. So it is mandatory for them. Now let's talk about the RBI Integrated Ombudsman Scheme 2021. So earlier RBI has three different schemes: Banking Ombudsman Scheme, NBFC Ombudsman Scheme, and Digital Transaction Ombudsman Scheme. So RBI, in order to simplify things, merged all these schemes into one scheme. So this process was done in November 2021. An integrated ombudsman scheme came out of it. So the key features is of this scheme is that it covers all RBI regulated entities like banks, NBFCs, payment companies, and it is absolutely free of cost for customers. If a complaint is not resolved in 30 days or a customer is not satisfied, then a complaint can be filed under this scheme. Even non-scheduled cooperative banks with deposit of 50 crore are included, and it follows the idea of one nation, one ombudsman. So these ombudsmen are RBI appointed senior officers, and at present there are 22 ombudsmen present. Complaints go first into a special center called CRPC, Central Receipt and Processing Center. It is at Chandigarh, and CRPC then send valid complaints to the right ombudsman based on the region. Now, how complaints are filed? A customer can file a complaint online at cms.rbi.org.in or through an email, or uh, offline modes can be used like post or courier. But again, a lawyer cannot be hired to file a complaint. Only individual or authorized representative can file a complaint, and services of an advocate cannot be engaged for filing a complaint. Now, what is the complaint processing flow? Before that, we need to understand what can ombudsman do. So the ombudsman can ask the bank or the NBFC to provide any document or information. If the NBFC or the bank they didn't respond, it will be assumed that they have nothing to submit. And the ombudsman must maintain confidentiality unless the law requires disclosure, the provider agrees, or if needed to fairness between both the parties. Now let's talk about the complaint processing. So it is divided into several steps. The first step is the scrutiny by CRPC. So CRPC check complaints and puts them into three buckets: invalid complaints, not maintainable complaints, and valid complaints. So for invalid complaints like asking for advice or explanation, these are closed. For non-maintainable complaints, complaints which are outside the scheme scope, these are also closed, and valid complaints are sent to the ombudsman and shared with the bank for a written reply. Then the resolution process by the ombudsman is the second step. The ombudsman tries to resolve the complaint in the order of facilitation, mediation, and then award. So facilitation, letting both sides talk and settle. In mediation, it actually helps both the parties to come to a solution. And in award, if no solution is uh, reached, then the ombudsman passes a final decision, which is known as an award. So a complaint is considered closed if it is resolved by the bank, if the customer accepts the solution, or the customer withdraws the complaint. Now let's talk about the proceedings, how hearing happens. So the process is quick and simple. There are no complex legal rules involved. Both sides may be asked for their statements, and bank must reply within 15 days, or else the ombudsman may decide the case without hearing the bank, and the bank will lose their right to appeal. Award by ombudsman. So the ombudsman decide a case after looking at all the documents from both the side and giving both parties a fair chance to speak. The decision is based on banking laws and practice, rules and instructions issued by RBI, and other relevant factors are considered. So the ombudsman can direct the bank or the financial institution. Uh, so these banks and financial institutions, we will refer them as the regulated entities. So the ombudsman can direct these regulated entities to do something specific, like to reverse the wrong charges or to pay money to the customer for any loss suffered. Again, there are limits on how much can be paid. So for actual amount involved in the complaint, there is no limit. For actual loss, there is no limit. And if the customer suffered extra loss, any consequential loss, then the limit is 20 lakh rupees. And for mental stress, harassment, time and effort, the maximum amount that can be awarded is 1 lakh rupees. What happens after the award? So the decision is sent to both the bank and the customer. The customer must give a written acceptance within 30 days to the bank, unless the customer is filing an appeal. And if there is no response provided in the 30 days and no appeal is filed, then the award becomes invalid. Yeah. And once the customer accepts, the bank must follow the order and inform the ombudsman within 30 days, unless the bank files an appeal. Now let's understand appeal process before the appellate authority. So if either side is unhappy with an award or rejection, they can appeal to the appellate authority, who is an executive director of RBI. So executive director of RBI is the appellate authority. A bank can appeal only if it is approved by the top officials, the chairman, the MD, the CEO, and a customer can file an appeal if the complaint was wrongly dismissed, if it was not dealt with seriously, if it needed more evidence than the ombudsman could handle, and there are no actual financial loss according to the ombudsman. Now, the appellate authority may allow an extra 30 days Time for filing an appeal if there's a valid reason. Now, let's understand what an appellate authority can do. So, after listening both the parties, the appellate authority may dismiss the appeal, may cancel the award, can send the case back to the ombudsman for fresh review, can change the order or pass any other order as required. So, appellate authority decision uh, is final and it is binding, just like an ombudsman award. Non-maintainable complaints. So when a complaint is not accepted, some complaints are not allowed under the scheme, such as business decision of bank, the dispute between a bank and a vendor, grievance not addressed directly to the ombudsman, journal complaints against bank staff, if the complaint is about service which is not regulated by RBI, if any dispute between uh, bank's employee or between the banks. So these complaints are not maintainable. Conditions for filing a valid complaint. So first, a person should complain to the bank. If they reject or don't reply in 30 days, then a person can approach the ombudsman. And the ombudsman must be approached within 1 year of getting the reply or within 1 year and 30 days if there is no reply was received. So this is actually the limitation period. If a person, if the question asks what is the limitation period for filing complaint to the ombudsman, so it is 1 year after getting the reply or 1 year and 30 days if no reply is received. And customers must not, uh, the customer makes sure that complaints must not be already settled or pending before the another authority. If it is there, then they cannot file a complaint. The complaint must not be abusive or without reason, and it must be not filed beyond the time limit provided. So customer must give all the necessary information and file the complaint by himself or herself or through an authorized representative and not the advocate. Unless the advocate is a complainant, then advocate can also file a complaint, but a person cannot uh, engage an advocate, cannot use the services of an advocate to file the complaint. When can a complaint be rejected? So the ombudsman or deputy ombudsman can reject a complaint if it is fall within non-maintainable categories we just discussed. If it is just a suggestion or a question and not an actual complaint, if there is no clear mistake by the bank, if the claim amount is more than the ombudsman power, if the complainant is not serious, and if it needs detailed investigation which is not suitable for this platform, this ombudsman platform, and if there is no financial loss or inconvenience caused, then a complaint can also be rejected. Powers and functions of ombudsman. So ombudsman can settle or close all types of complaints, and deputy ombudsman can handle only non-maintainable complaints or those resolved through mutual agreement. Ombudsman can pass an award if no agreement is reached, and every year ombudsman send a report to RBI as of March 31st, giving overview of cases handled and any other information RBI may ask for, and RBI publishes this report. Responsibilities of regulated entities. To support the smooth working of the scheme, every bank must appoint a principal nodal officer, at least general manager level, and display key information about the ombudsman scheme in bank branches and offices, on the ATMs and websites, and provide booklets of the scheme in the branches. Now let's check your progress. As on date, how many banking ombudsmen have been appointed? So the correct answer is 22. Dash act as an internal ombudsman of the bank. It is Chief Customer Service Officer. So B is the correct answer. Banks are required to have principal nodal officer at the dash level. So it is required at the head office. So principal nodal officer at the head office. So D is the correct answer. Which of these modes of complaint to the bank will not be adequate for filing a complaint with ombudsman? So through email or specified, so this can be done by submitting at branch with acknowledgement through website or on the link specified, dropping the complaint box. This is not. So A is the correct answer for this question. Now let's do some practice questions. Let's move on to practice questions. Consider the following statements regarding the grievance redressal mechanism in bank as per model policy and RBI initiative. The CMS introduced by RBI is available during bank working hours. So no, this is available 24/7. So this statement is not correct. The model policy emphasized that complaints should be dealt with efficiently, but not necessarily with fairness. So it should be dealt with fairness. So this is not correct. RBI introduced a comprehensive framework in January 2021 to further strengthen the grievance redressal system beyond banking ombudsman scheme. This statement is correct. The grievance redressal policy is to be made available at all bank branches, and all employees are to be sensitized about complaint handling process. So this statement is also correct. So statement 3 and 4 are correct. So question is asking about which of the following statement are not correct. So statement 1 and 2 are not correct, making C as the correct answer for this question. Identify which of the following statements are true regarding customer grievance redressal mechanism in banks. A copy of the customer's complaint from the complaint book must be forwarded to the controlling officer with the branch manager's remarks. So this statement is correct. Information about grievance redressal should be available in the bank's welcome kit and displayed at prominent places in branches. Also correct. Customers can directly escalate a complaint to the ombudsman without first waiting for the bank's internal process. This statement is not correct. The first step is that a customer files a complaint to the bank, and if it is unresolved and if a reply is not received within 30 days, then only a customer can approach the ombudsman. The name, address, and phone number of the controlling authority must be displayed in all branches. Again, this statement is correct. So 1, 2, and 4 are correct, making option A as the correct answer for this question. Mrs. Ananya had an issue with her bank's mobile banking application, which led to failure to fund transfer. Though the amount was debited from her account, she first approached the counter staff who tried but could not resolve the issue. The matter was then taken up by the branch manager, who promised to look into it. After 5 days, with no response from the branch, she submitted a formal complaint. Since the issue still was not resolved, the branch decided to escalate the complaint to the regional office. After waiting for another 10 days, she received a response from the head office informing her that the complaint had been reviewed and necessary action was being taken. The letter also informed her about the right to approach the banking ombudsman if she remained unsatisfied with the resolution. Based on the complaint escalation procedure, within how many days should the branch have referred the unresolved complaint to the regional zonal office, and what must be included in the communication sent to the customer from head office regarding the resolution of the complaint? So 15 days, no, it should be 7 days. So option A and D are eliminated. 7 days, 7 days. Right to approach to banking ombudsman, it is within 1 year. So C is the correct answer for this question. Consider the following statement regarding online dispute resolution system and grievance redressal mechanisms as per RBI guidelines. The ODI system must be accessible only to the banks and not to non-banks. No, this is not correct. It should be accessible to the both. Customers can lodge grievances through multiple channels such as web, IVR, mobile apps, SMS, and even bank visit. Correct. Third-party app providers are required to integrate grievance lodging facility in their mobile apps. Correct. A complaint regarding unauthorized electronic transaction must be acknowledged immediately with the reference number. Again, correct. All complaints must be resolved within 9. It should be 90 days and not 30 days. So within 30 days, no, should be 90 days. Banks are required to disclose customer complaint data and may face supervisory action if redressal mechanisms are inadequate. This statement is absolutely correct. So 2, 3, 4, and 6 are correct. 2, 3, 4, and 6. Option A is the correct answer for this question. Consider the following statements regarding RBI's direction on complaint disclosure and redressal mechanism in banks. Banks must disclose in their annual reports all complaints, including those resolved within next working day. So it is excluding those, not including those. So this is not correct. Peer group average for maintainable complaints are computed based on the asset size of the bank as on March 31st of the current year. It is March 31st of the previous year, not the current year. So this statement is not correct. Granular disclosure in annual report must include both complaints received directly by bank and those received through the OBOs. So this is correct. So OBOs is ombudsman's. RBI's cost recovery mechanism applies to all banks with digital complaint ratio above the industry medium. This statement is not correct. RBI cost of recovery mechanism is triggered when maintainable complaint exceed peer group, not based on median or digital complaints. So this is not correct. The ground for disclosure include mis-selling, recovery agent issues and services for differently abled customers. So this statement is actually correct. The principal nodal officer must be at least a general manager rank and their conduct must be accessible and their contact details, sorry, and the contact details must be accessible to the public. So this statement is correct. The RBI conducts an annual assessment of grievance redressal in banks using data from the complaint management system and other sources. This statement is also correct. So statement 3 is correct, 5 is correct, 6 is correct and 7 is correct, making option D as the correct answer for this question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the grievance redressal and internal ombudsman system in banks? RBI advises PSB to appoint special squad at bank with frequent complaints. Yes, correct. Manager officers at branches with high complaints may be shifted to other department. Also correct. Internal ombudsman should be appointed by all banks, including RRBs. So it is excluding RRBs. So this is not correct. Complaints not fully redressed by the banks must be escalated to IO before final communication to the customer. Also correct. The internal ombudsman scheme 2018 is monitored solely by RBI. So it is monitored by both banks internal audit and RBI, not solely by RBI. So this statement is not correct. So 1, 2 and 4 are correct, making option A as the correct answer for this question. Consider the following statement regarding RBI's internal ombudsman scheme. So the internal ombudsman scheme extends coverage to all entities regulated by RBI except NBFC. No, it includes NBFC. Why will it exclude? So this is not correct. The CRPC in Mumbai, it is actually at Chandigarh. So this statement is not correct. The scheme adopts one nation, one ombudsman approach to standardized grievance redressal. Absolutely correct. Complaints not resolved within 60 days by the regulated entities. It is actually 30 days, not 60 days. So this statement is not correct. RBI can appoint its officers as ombudsman or deputy ombudsman for a tenure of 3 years. So this is maximum tenure of 3 years is correct. The scheme covers non-scheduled primary cooperative banks only if the deposit size is 100 CR. It is actually 50 CR, not 100 CR. So this statement is not correct. An ombudsman may reject a complaint if it falls outside the jurisdiction or lacks sufficient cause even before attempting conciliation. So this is also correct. So 3 is correct, 5 is correct, 7 is correct, making option C as the correct answer for this question. Which of the following statements are correct with reference to RBI's internal ombudsman scheme? Procedure for filing or processing and resolving complaints. So a complaint can be filed through an advocate. No, not correct. CRPC rejects complaint that only offer suggestion or seek explanation. Absolutely correct. The ombudsman is legally bound by rules of evidence. No, not correct. Complaints not based on ground permitted under IOS are considered as non-maintainable. So this statement is correct. If a regulated entity fails to respond to the complaint within the stipulated or extended times, it retains the right to appeal. It does not retain the right to appeal. So this statement is not correct. The ombudsman first preference is to facilitate a mutual agreement between the parties. So this statement is correct. Compensation for mental harassment is kept at 2 lakhs. So no, it is capped at 1 lakh, not 2 lakhs. So this is not correct. A complaint is considered resolved if complainant voluntarily withdraws it. So this statement is correct. The complainant must accept the award within 30 days. Otherwise, the award lapses unless an appeal is filed. So this statement is also correct. So 2, 3, 6, 8 and 9. So 2, 4, 3 is not correct. 2, 4, 6, 8 and 9. So option A is the correct answer for this question. ABC Microfinance Limited, a regulated entity, was directed by the RBI Ombudsman to pay compensation of 10,000 to a customer, Mrs. Lata, for wrongfully denial of loan pre-closure despite repeated requests and full repayment. The Ombudsman observed that ABC Microfinance has not furnished adequate documentary evidence to justify the delay or denial. ABC Microfinance, dissatisfied with the award, seeks to file an appeal. Meanwhile, Mrs. Lata, although satisfied with the compensation, learns that the complaint was dismissed in part as the Ombudsman did not entertain her additional claim for mental harassment, citing that it required oral and documentary evidence beyond the scope of Ombudsman proceeding. She wishes to appeal this partial dismissal after 32 days, citing personal health emergencies as a reason for delay. Both parties filed their respective appeals based on the fact and provisions of Ombudsman scheme. Which of the following is the most appropriate conclusion? ABC's microfinance appeal is valid if it has prior sanction of executive director. ABC microfinance appeal is not maintainable as the award was based on non-furnishing of documents by it. So this statement is correct. Mrs. Lata appeal will be summarily dismissed as it was filed after 30 days. Um, After 30-day appeal will do. So no, this is not correct. The appellate authority cannot remand the case back to the ombudsman once the award has been passed. So this is also not correct. So B is the correct answer for this question. A is not correct because while the prior sanction is required, this does not apply when the award was due to non-furnishing of documents, because in that case the regulated entity lost its right to appeal. Hence, A is not the correct option. Which of the following statements regarding maintainability of a complaint under RBI Ombudsman scheme are correct? A complaint must first be made to regulated entity before approaching the Ombudsman. Correct. A complaint is maintainable even if it has already been decided by a court or tribunal. So no, this is not correct. The complaint must be lodged within 1 year from the date of the final response received from the regulated entity, or within 1 year and 30 days if no reply is received. Correct. Complaints that are abusive, frivolous, and vexatious in nature are non-maintainable. This is also correct. So 1, 3, and 4 are correct. Option C uh, is the correct answer for this question. Here D is mentioned, but statement 2 is not correct. So C should be the correct answer, not D. Thank you for watching this video. I hope there you understand all about unit number 19. But again, if you have any doubts, you can reach out to us on our Telegram group channel, JAIIB CAIIB Prep. We'll meet again with unit number 20. Till then, please revise your units and take care.